I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to celebrating the 4th of July coming up. Continue lifting, increasing your health, fitness, and strength, and see you all later. Thanks. I wanted to take one more exercise for the chest to demonstrate this concept. Now, chest fly is a very good exercise for increasing your pectoral muscles. Although I found that most versions, like using dumbbells laying flat, quite dangerous in that if you get to exhaustion, all you can do is drop the weight. It's pretty easy to overstretch your shoulders and cause injuries. So I like to use a machine, a chest fly machine, set it at a modest weight for me, and go through a first set. You can either pick what you would consider a fairly heavy weight or a light weight, and just use repetitions until you get close to that low number of reps in reserve. I think the studies have shown that it really doesn't matter whether the weight is relatively light or heavy. It's that concept of getting all the muscle fibers recruited and where they have come to near exhaustion. Save time in your workout by doing this rest pause. I hit about 20 repetitions, pretty tired. A few seconds, 5-10 seconds rest, and get back to it. I'll do a few more. So even though there's essentially one set, I hit that level of only 1 or 2 reps in reserve, and there's really no point in moving on with an additional set. So you can speed up your workouts by essentially going through one set, getting the exercise until you reach 1 or 2 reps in reserve, and that'll give you your maximal increase in strength and power. Continuing with our discussion of pushing to muscle failure versus reps in reserve, studies have shown that your greatest your greatest improvement in strength and power occur when you have a few repetitions in reserve, not pushing to total muscle failure. It seems that total muscle failure is actually somewhat counterproductive in increasing strength and power. Whether it affects hypertrophy, I'm not quite sure yet, although as a senior I'm not particularly concerned with muscle hypertrophy, getting bigger muscles for whatever reason. I want stronger muscles to help support my body and maintain my overall health. So trying to decide what is the proper amount of weight to lift while maintaining that you've had a good, strong workout, but still with some reps in reserve. It's a good idea to keep good records and try different things. As far as a chest press, the safest way to do this until you're pretty comfortable with what you can do is to go on a chest press machine to where if you actually hit muscle failure, you can just relax and the weight will come back to its neutral position without getting hurt. Now, if you notice, I often say I want to hit a certain goal in number of repetitions. That's often for what I would call warm-up sets, meaning I'm not trying to hit total muscle failure or only 1 or 2 reps in reserve. when I get to a certain number of repetitions, typically I'll do like 3 sets. So starting off, pick a weight I think I can push for 10, and we'll see how it goes. So if I consider this my first warm-up set, hit 10, felt that I certainly could go on a bit farther, although we're starting to feel some significant effort there. So moving on to a second set, rest between these sort of warm-up sets, I think somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute. Go up to a slightly increased progressive overload, but still see if I can hit my goal of 10. So in that one, at 10, I thought I only had 1 or 2 reps in reserve, so maybe I should consider that my final working set. And if I want to do a third set, reduce the weight and see how many repetitions I can get until I get close to muscle failure. So even though the weight was lighter, at 9, I was pretty close to only 1 or 2 reps in reserve. This is a concept of a rest pause. If you think you're getting close to muscle failure, give yourself a short period of rest and see if you can push out a few more repetitions. The other component is that even though the weight was lighter, my muscles were working harder. I had to recruit more and more muscle fibers as I get closer and more fatigued. It's when you're recruiting the maximum number of muscle fibers that you start to signal your body to increase those fibers and improve strength and power. I think it's beneficial at times to push yourself to actual muscle failure. It's more a neuromuscular connection failure, where often, let's say in times of stress, high adrenaline, your muscles could maybe move significantly more weight. But in sort of your basic state, there's a lot keeping you from lifting as heavy as you actually have the strength for. Some of that's just mental. So what I like to do is occasionally load up one of these machines to something I know is going to be a real challenge, and see if I can at least budget or go through a full lift. Maybe just 1 repetition. Let's say I can't even budget. Well, next time I'll load it a little bit less. But again, I think there's a nice neuromuscular feedback when you're getting into these ranges where you are really trying to push yourself to these higher levels. Now, one caveat, if you have cardiovascular disease, heart disease, high blood pressure, other issues, you want to make sure that you can get clearance from a medical provider to undergo very strenuous exercise, maybe even have a cardiovascular evaluation like a stress test or something else. For me, I've gone through all that. My blood pressure's in control. I passed the stress test with no problems. And this is really only, let's say, about 40 pounds heavier than my last lift. Again, mental preparation is very important. That's all for today on this lift, although I felt I had still 1 or 2 reps in reserve, so next time I'll go up a little bit. So for me, this is quite a heavy weight, working on trying to increase strength and power. I'm going to shoot for 3 repetitions. Again, if I actually hit muscle failure, I can just bring the weight down safely, not getting injured. If I hit 3, I'll assess where I am as far as reps in reserve, and if it's more than 1 or 2, I'll push on. Making sure I got the belt up high enough on my lower back so that it doesn't pinch down the crest. Got 2 left. Reps in reserve is a psychological construct. Well, I thought I only had 2 left. I was able to pump out 2 and wasn't at muscle failure. So, something to work on. Trying to see if I can convince my mind that my muscles can carry a bit more and go on to my next exercise. So on lifting a heavy weight, in addition to focusing on bracing, perfect form, and contracting every muscle in your body, you want to power up out of the low position. It might not look fast, but you want to go as fast as you can to increase power and get used to coming up out of that deep squat position. Heavy is a relative term for each person. What's heavy for me might be quite light for you. That's how each individual is. So, next set. So typically this amount is pretty heavy for me. So I'm going to shoot for 3 to 5 repetitions. Things on a belt squat. I find if I put the belt too low on my waist, it pinches around my iliac crest in the back. So I have to remember to put it up a little bit higher. That one I had maybe 1 or 2 reps in reserve, but I'm going to increase the weight and see if I can get 3. I think on some of the powerlifting moves, particularly the bench press and squat, it's safer to try and figure out your reps in reserve on one of the machines. So if you actually hit muscle failure, you you won't get injured or have a disaster trying to get out from the bar. You can, let's say, on our belt squat, if I reach muscle failure, I can just lower it and keep myself safe and get on with my life. So for this set, I picked the weight and I'm going to shoot for 6 to 10 repetitions and assess where I am as far as my strength, reps in reserve, and effort. Set up. Focus, brace. So at 6, I had a level of about 8, and I think I had 2 or 3 reps in reserve. So we'll increase the weight and go for a next set. That's up to each individual. For me, I think a better option would be to go into an isometric hold in my down position for 10 to 20 seconds, maximizing the muscles in my chest, but not really stressing the muscles in my arms, which seem to be the most tired for me. So, got my platform, lower myself down to where my chest is close to the edge, and hold for 20 seconds. For me, that felt like a good finishing exercise. I was able to focus on trying to keep my chest muscles very tight without overexerting my triceps and biceps. So to demonstrate further the two concepts of generating power and getting close to muscle failure, I'm going to do an incline power push-up. I like this on the incline because if you do actually run across muscle failure, it's much safer to be on the incline than flat on the floor, where if your arms fail, you're going to hit pretty hard. On the incline, you're going to hit much less hard and probably not hit your face. So we'll start off, we're going to aim for 10 power push-ups, where you accelerate hard off of the platform, try and lift your upper body away, and then catch yourself and lower slow. You can always pause at the bottom. Again, on a perceived exertion, after 10, if that was in that range of 7 or 8, and you might have several reps in reserve, you can increase the intensity by lowering the platform. Question always arises as how much rest between each set, as versus, let's say, a set number, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. One way is to monitor your breathing or your pulse. I like to rest until my breathing is down into a zone 2, where I can talk comfortably without having to pause. So see, I'm not quite there yet. A few more seconds of rest, maybe 10, 15 or so. You want to think of each set as being significant and not just going through the motions, that you're trying to get muscle improvement in every single set. So that requires focus and effort and monitoring your whole body. Okay, let's go to our second set, slightly lower incline. On this set, I felt I had maybe only 1 rep in reserve. So I could stop at this point because I've maxed out the exercise for the muscles at this point. Is there a reason to go into a third set? You're not going to be able to hit this sort of muscle failure or close to it on every single set. You have maybe, let's say we're planning on 3 sets, and the first 2 are going to be essentially warm-up sets using a weight we know we can lift for our, say, planned repetitions. So let's start with like 10 bicep hammer curls. At the end of your set, you want to assess how hard was that. Maybe give it a number like a perceived exertion of 7, 8 or so. You could probably do quite a few more repetitions. Give yourself a period of rest, maybe 30 seconds up to a minute, and go up to a heavier weight. And let's shoot for another 10. These bicep hammer curls. Maybe on this set, do a rest pause. Give yourself a 5 to 10 second rest and see if you can do 5 more. And at the end of this one, again, perceived exertion, maybe getting up to 8 or 9. And think, could I do another 5? Maybe, maybe not. Another 30-second rest and move up in weight. So on this set, a few things to concentrate on as we're trying to do some speed on the concentric part, lifting up, slow going down, and let's aim for 10. Do I have any reps in reserve? Maybe 1 or 2 each side. Okay. Whew. So as I was near failure on that last set, that's really the one that is going to encourage muscle growth and increase strength. The other two are fine for, so let's say, muscle toning or overall generalized fitness. But it's that last one that is the most important for increasing muscle strength. Welcome to this edition of Silver Sneakers Boom Muscle. There's some concepts I've run across on the internet as far as building strength, increasing muscle, and fitness. It's called reps in reserve, meaning that when you do an exercise, you want to be lifting a weight to where you have a limited number of additional repetitions you can do. Let's say we're shooting for 10 repetitions and we're lifting a weight where at 10 we find that we could do easily 5 more. That would be, we had 5 reps in reserve. We build the most muscle and increase strength the most when we only have 1 or 2 reps in reserve left. So in doing that same exercise, let's say bicep curl, we get to 9 repetitions and we're pretty beat. Can we do 1 more? Maybe, maybe not. We attempt it, we can't do it. So then we find that we had only 9 with no reps in reserve. So the point is to try and aim to where you finish your preset number and you only have 1 or 2 reps in reserve. That's where you've reached the greatest gain. Another thing is trying to generate power. Generate power on the concentric part of the move, mean moving it with speed, and doing the eccentric much more slowly, because there is no way to generate power in an eccentric move. So for our bicep curl, we lift it up quickly and let it descend slowly. So we'll be working on both these concepts during this workout, and hope you enjoy it. Make sure you're well warmed up, and then we'll get started.